my name is Celia Brooks, and I'm a food writer and teacher and chef, and I've been teaching cookery demonstrations at Divertimenti for many, many years, right from the beginning of the Marylebone Cookery School. It's one of my favorite places to teach. And I also run a business called Gastrotours, which is a series of luxury food tours in London. And I do bits of journalism, bits of TV. Basically, everything I do is about inspiring people to appreciate good food. When it comes to my cooking, I specialize in vegetarian food. And today I have a fantastic recipe for you, which comes from the Republic of Georgia in Central Asia. It's a tiny country with a tiny population, but a very strong identity and a fantastic array of recipes. Probably the most classic Georgian recipe is what I'm going to show you today, which is called xachapuri. And that essentially is a cheese bread. This cheese bread is so ubiquitous in Georgia that there are very many different versions of it all over the country. You'll find it in different shapes and sizes. Sometimes it's made with a yeasted dough. I'm going to be showing you how to make just a nice flaky but quite sturdy pastry. Traditionally, the Georgian Khachapuri will be made with a cheese filling with their traditional cheese. That's a kind of a briny, slightly acidic cheese, a little bit like feta, but also a little bit stringy. So for the pastry, ideally, it's made in a food processor. So if you've got a food processor, use it. If not, you'll have to work the ingredients in with your fingers. But the ingredients you'll need is 270 grams of strong bread flour, not just plain flour. The strong flour gives the pastry a little bit more sturdiness, a bit more texture, a little bit of a chewy aspect. We also got 150 grams of chilled butter, 4 tablespoons of plain yogurt, and 2 eggs, and a little bit of salt. That's for the pastry. Then for the filling, we have 200 grams of feta cheese and 400 grams of Gouda cheese, grated, and 1 egg, and those just get mixed together. A strictly low-calorie recipe here, as you can see. The final cheese pie, essentially, is what it looks like. It gets glazed with 1 egg yolk and a little bit of milk mixed together. So to make the pastry, just pop your flour into the food processor and your chilled butter cubes, and then give that a whiz until the mixture resembles fine breadcrumbs. Okay, that's coming together nicely. I'm going to add a little bit of salt, and then a couple of eggs, which you really don't need to whisk. You can just pop them in there. I'll just put them in a bowl first so I don't get any shell in there. So I'll whack those in, and my 4 tablespoons of yogurt. Now, instead of using water or milk, which you would normally use for ordinary pastry, the yogurt does give it a little bit of a tang and a richness that is really lovely. So now I will whiz that until it forms a dough. Mix it in first, and then I'm going to start pulsing. Okay, so that's come together well. It's quite wet, so I'm going to just lay out cling film. You never want to overmix pastry because it can become tough. And wrap the cling film around it and just pull it together into a nice doughy mass. And then that is going to go into the fridge to chill for about an hour, so it's nice and firm and rested. Okay, so now for the filling of this delicious cheesy pie. There's quite a lot of cheese in it, but I'm telling you, it is fantastic. This combination of Gouda and feta. Feta's been crumbled nicely. Gouda's grated, and we're gonna just toss those together. Just make sure they're evenly mixed. And then to give a little bit of a lightness to this heavy cheese filling, just add an egg. Now I will just give that a quick whisk in the bowl. and then spread it through the mixture. I know it doesn't look like much, but it's just enough to lighten the filling inside the pastry case. So just make sure it's evenly distributed. And now we're ready to make the pastry case. So I've got a bowl of some extra flour here for dusting. Just going to spread that out on my nice clean surface here. And here's my chilled pastry. Okay. So I'm going to divide that into 2 equal pieces. And shape them both into a nice round ball. And then roll them into 2 discs. Keep moving the pastry around and dusting underneath so that it doesn't stick to your surface. Just get that rolled out as nice and round as you can. As I said, the shape doesn't really matter. Khachapuri comes in so many shapes and sizes. So I'm just going to transfer that to my baking parchment lined baking tray. Helps to just lay the pastry over rolling pin like this. And then roll out the second piece. So in Georgia, you'll find khachapuri is made very commonly in every home, but it's also a very common street food, and it is the perfect snack on the run. Sometimes it's just filled with cheese. Sometimes it's served just with an egg cracked in the top of it, just dribbling off the edges. Now I'll just bring my tray over, and we will pile on the filling. Compressing it slightly. Getting as much as you possibly can in there, but leaving a little bit of a border around the edge. Just about an inch or slightly less of a border around the edge. And now I will just pop the other piece of pastry on the top. And seal it by folding the bottom piece of pastry over the top piece around the edges. So just seal them together with your fingers. There you have it. So now I'm going to give it the egg glaze, which consists of 1 egg yolk, and about a tablespoon of milk. Just whisk those together. And use this pastry brush to brush it all over, and that just gives it a nice sheen when it comes out of the oven. A little bit of golden color for a nice golden crust. And that goes into the middle of the aga baking oven for about 35 to 45 minutes, or until it's golden brown. And here is our lovely golden cheesy pie, the khachapuri. Good idea to let it stand just for a few minutes after it's come out of the oven, just for it to settle. And then you can cut it into nice fat wedges. And that is absolutely beautiful on its own, or served with a nice leafy salad and a tart dressing.